Good evening to you, afternoon. Today I want to speak to you about the Mother's Day and motherhood. It is important to realize the mother begins to bond with the child and forms his or her personality while she is pregnant. So it is important for mom to keep speaking to the child while the child is in the womb, is modern medicine. So you keep a little time intentionally to speak to the child in infant-directed language after birth as well as before, finding some time, even during a busy office schedule, to connect with the child. This a child needs because the mother needs of a child in the first year is intimacy. As I said, those needs begin from the womb itself. Intimacy, and if the child does not feel that intimacy from the mother, the child doesn't lead intimacy and doesn't trust anyone else. So even the father validation happens from mom to recognize who this next person in her life is. Secondly, mother introduces the child to autonomy. So it is important for mom to keep close to the child, to release and to give the boundaries and what to and what not to. Child begins to realize from interaction with the mom. Then begins towards the third year, nurture and care and belonging. So child belongs, knows his own and she is much wanted. All that aspect of belonging, confidence, identity, introduction comes from mom, and from the fourth year onwards, father begins to impact alongside mother, but in the first 3 to 4 years, mom is so very important. Then the industry and competence, what she is able to do, she likes to do, all that comes from mom. Social awareness and concern, so social relationships, ability to link with others, ability to like others, talk with others, connect with others, begins from mom. Then submission and obedience is mom who teaches in that close relationship. The emotional brain development, therefore IQ, EQ, SQ, the social quotient, emotional quotient, and the intelligent quotient, mother contributes largely and significantly in the formative early years of life. Maintaining social networking, sense of home, belonging, boundaries, and that familiar ethos. This is my ecology, is what the child has picked up. Otherwise, lifelong child begins to feel, I'm not at home. Often feeling, this is not my home, I don't belong here. And the child begins to act like that in distaste and dyspathy. So mother is very important in developing the empathic top-down regulation system. Otherwise, the child begins to pick up whatever comes and stimulates him with dyspathy and mistrust. That's the bottom-up regulation system. So already child feels stressed when mother is lacking. So these are some of the very important things of motherhood in early years of life. When that is not there, the child will be struggling emotionally to open up. When people come close to the person, there's emotional pullback. This goes on to later life, even to marriage choices. Then withdraws to a lonely place in the heart. Feels always, I'm in an island. When mom has not been bonding with the child, child will say things like, I can do on my own. Because that's how the child learned to survive. Even as an adult, the child will say, I can do on my own. I don't need anybody much. So when mothers have been very busy at work, maybe for economic reasons, that's how the child will feel in the inside, and that's how the child will act. Withdraw to a lonely place in the heart, and to get space between me and others. All the time, the child is not inclusive, but excluding himself from whatever comes at him. And I stand at the door of people's life, but seldom enter into the inner chambers emotionally. That's how a child begins to, the youth grows up like that and shows signs of an orphan spirit, feeling I do not belong. That's that feeling that the person feels. I have serious bouts of fear, feel lonely in my pain, do not need anyone else to share my pain. I will struggle through life is how these adults begin to feel when they have lacked that motherhood caring or they have had motherhood fractures. React with strong emotions when I feel my spouse is not sensitive about my feelings, but all the time they get that sense of they have not considered me. So if you look at the Word of God, there are different kinds of mothers. Mothers who gave their best child or the firstborn, Mary, Elizabeth, Hannah. Then mothers whose husband, in spite of husbands wronging them, they arose to greatness. Hannah's husband had 2 wives, which was not God's plan. But still Hannah rose to greatness in spite of husband not treating her that well. Those who arose to greatness through tragedy in life, examples are Naomi and Ruth. So they still arose to motherhood and greatness in life in spite of having great mishaps, bad things happening to them. Then there are mothers who arose to greatness when men fail, like Deborah. So all these situations are not hypothetical, they may be current situations. Fifthly, those mothers and ladies, of course, who arose to greatness after initial life of degradation. Classic example is Mary Magdalene, who was at the cross of Christ and who was the first at the tomb of Christ on the resurrection morning. In spite of having lives tainted initially, Rahab was also like that. She had a terrible life. She was a lady living in Jericho, and in those days any young woman of beauty, the king owned them. That was the horrible system in Jericho and many other city-states. And then having used, they were dumped with a room to carry on prostitution. That was their dirty reward. And Rahab came up like that, but she stood up to save her whole family. And she became the mother who began the city of Bethlehem later. Then sixthly, those women who were badly treated, mothers who didn't have a proper place in life, but they rose to greatness. Such a mother is David's mother. She was a war widow, and in the city of Bethlehem, the first citizen was Jesse, and in Jesse's whole life, David was Jesse's 8th son. So 7 other brothers before David really looked down on David. But David made her mother great because he was the great king of Israel. A modern story like that is Ben Carson. Ben Carson was only 7 years old. One day he sat on he always waited on his doorstep in a very little small house where they were poor. Now this is Ben Carson, who became the world's best known pediatric neurosurgeon because he separated Siamese twins and the brains were separated, first time ever, and he later became Secretary of Housing in President Trump's cabinet. How did this happen? Why did he get Secretary of Housing? Because this little boy was 7 years old when that evening father didn't come home. He was waiting for a long time for father to return. Then mom said father is not coming home. She couldn't tell him father had gone for another woman. Then they had to leave that house and went into a rotten housing scheme full of cockroaches and rats. And his mother had to become a janitor in a supermarket because supermarkets pay little more for janitorial work in the toilet. So she's all the time in dirty toilets or supermarkets, streams of people. That's how she educated her son, the now famous Ben Carson. Then when he came to his advanced level of university entrance, he was weak in chemistry and she was a praying mother. That night, the night before the chemistry paper, he had a dream. A tuition master was doing a chemistry paper with him. Lo and behold, when he went for the chemistry paper, many of the questions that were discussed in the dream came, and he scored such high marks that he was the first ever black student chosen for the famous Johns Hopkins University. See how God cares when nobody else is there to care. And Johns Hopkins was the famous medical university, and later he became a professor of surgery in Johns Hopkins University and did that operation that made him world famous. So these are some incidents how God gave a mother a son who made her famous, so to say. 7, God treated the wife, the mom, better than the husband. Leah is one such character. Abigail is another character. Abigail's husband was Nabal, who was a ruthless man and a foolish man. So when man has not treated you well, God still treats you well. And another example is Ruth. In that case, it was not man not treating her well, it's just that her husband died while she was childless, and later she came back to Bethlehem, and Boaz, the richest man, wealthiest man of Bethlehem, married this widow whom no one wanted. So this is how God works for moms when nobody else is there to work. 8th and final kind of motherhood or mom I like to discuss is those who are wiser than the husband, like Rebecca. Rebecca's husband is Isaac. They had 2 sons, Esau and Jacob. Jacob was the spiritual son, and Rebecca recognized this. Isaac did not recognize this. So I want to lead you on to another aspect of this. There's assault on the family and maternity. Both family and maternity is assaulted by modern thinking and belief and practice patterns, cohabiting without marriage, too easy divorce. So people just connect, either they live without marrying, sexually active, or else just marry ready to divorce. I'll try and see kind of attitude. So when marriage is assaulted, maternity is diminished and family is diminished. Then adultery, homosexual assault on the family, lesbianism, and gay, downgrading mom at home, so all want to have a career rather than honor the calling of motherhood. So even if you are having a career, my appeal is honor the calling of motherhood, because your child is going to be the future citizen, and who knows, he might become the president of a country. And so it's what a hand the mother has. The hand that rocks the cradle will rule the world is an old saying. It's there in English as well as in Sinhala. Totilla padavana atha loke palane karai. Hand that rocks the cradle will rule the world. Career ambition can put down motherhood, and economic woes can make people not wanting to be mother and keep postponing having a child is also a way of diminishing motherhood. So there are 7 gifts the mother uses, given by the Good Shepherd. First gift is a gift of entrepreneur, and since our gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, each of us is to exercise them accordingly, foresight, according to the proportion of his faith. So mother has foresight, imagination, speculation, and enterprise. She has an investor's attitude, and she begins to see what investments would best work for son and daughter, and even for husband. Then she is a server at all times, humble service. So this is ingrained into a mom, humbly serving all the time, laying down the table and so on, thinking of others first. So even when she risks life with the peril of childbirth, she's thinking of others first. Then she's a natural teacher. So the teacher's gift is in the mother. And always it is good for you to take some subject that you are able to keep your bonding with your child, even when child is going through 8 years, when 10 years, 12 years, 14 years. And if you're able to do a subject at home with your son or daughter even after that, that's wonderful. Then she is a great encourager. She's the first coach and mentor you will have. The Greek word to encourager is parakletos. So when God created Eve, the name Eve means mother of life. And first man was told, you need a helpmeet. And the word there in the Greek translation is parakletos, the one who comes alongside the husband. Then the fifth gift the mother had is monetary practice. She is wise and prudent in her monetary practice. Sixth gift is she leads with diligence, the leadership gift. The seventh gift a mother has is she shows mercy, practices mercy, treats mercy, and cultivates mercy at home. So those are the 7 gifts of the mother. 1, the speculative, imaginative gift of foresight. She almost has a fifth intuition, knowing what's coming next or what's best for the family. So it is good for a spouse to listen to that. Secondly, serving humbly all the time. Mother will bend low and put the buckle of the shoe. So this has to be honored. She is a teacher. She is a great encourager. Fifthly, she is prudent with her money practice. She's a good investor, good entrepreneur. And she's a good leader, leadership qualities with diligence. She's very diligent. She wants things done on time. So sometimes this may irk the husband. You know the famous saying, don't worry, I will do it, yes, in 7 months' time. Finally, she leads the family in showing mercy, particularly at this time when so many people come to our doorstep in our nation. We need to practice mercy, charity, and hospitality, and mom leads in that also. Then I want to read a passage from Proverbs chapter 31 about the woman that brings honor to the home and to her husband. It's a beautiful passage, and it is good to even remember some of it. Excellent wife who can find, for her worth is far above jewels. So it is said that parents can give you inheritance on earth, but God has to give you that life partner who matches, catches up with you, yes, and catches up with lost time and forgives all the time. The heart of her husband trusts in her. So this is a great quality, especially in Asian cultures, maybe even in African cultures. The man thinks he's above reproach, and it is only the wife that needs to watch. So in Sinhala there's a saying called pati vata. That means pati is husband, vata is face. Honor the face of the husband. But we need to coin a term called patini vata. Patini is woman and vata is her face. So husbands have to honor her face as well. So the heart of her husband trusts in her, nothing to doubt, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. This is the mom. She looks for wool and flax and works with her hands in delight. She is like a merchant ship. She brings her food from afar. She rises also while it is still night, gives food to her household and portions to her maids. She girds herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She senses that her gain is good. Her lamp does not go out at night. She's so industrious. Maybe she's praying. She extends her hand to the poor and stretches out her hands to the needy. Especially at this time, mom, lead in all these good works. She is not afraid of. She makes coverings for herself and for her family. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. So the mom gives honor to the husband also. His greatness is tied up with the good character and the industry of mom. She makes linen garments and sells them. Strength and dignity are her clothing. She smiles at the future because she has taken care of the future so well. She smiles at the future. She opens her mouth in wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. This is what we value moms for. Teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and bless her, her husband also, and he praises her, saying, many daughters have done nobly, but you excel them all. Finally, there's a little passage I like to read, just one little bit, to capture her state in the home, mom's state in the home. This is how it gives it. Your wife shall be like a fruitful vine in the center of your house, so in the heart of your house. So wife is the heart, mom is the heart of your house. Your children like olive plants around your table. Behold, thus shall be the man blessed. So this is Good Shepherd's pattern for a mom. She will keep her household as a well-watered garden, and it will be like green pastures, no poison entering that house. And even she will teach the house and help the house in the paths of righteousness, even in valley of shadow of death. And when trial comes, tribulation comes, ladies have a way of being, what shall I say, more battle ready. They are more risk ready, because every month they go through a risk of the menstrual cycle. So they are able to take risk and face up to danger quite well. So we celebrate moms today, and the best mom will lead her children and family to know the Good Shepherd who provides the table, just like mom. And your place in life, your position in life, and the persons you connect with. This is a promise the Good Shepherd has. He prepares our table, even in the wilderness, even in spite of adversity, as Sri Lankans are experiencing now. And let this be our tribute to mom today. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. Lalith Mendis. If you want any more clips on science and reason and other scientific topics, please send a WhatsApp to 076-313-4800. You can also download my app free of charge, Golden Nuggets, from Google or Apple Store. Golden Nuggets, Nuggets. Thank you for listening. We'll meet again.